Well, again, for those who didn't hear me, my name is Marian Bacol-Uba. And I did ask some questions. So there were a few people who already are speakers. There's some, right, a raise of hand who want to start speaking. Want to start speaking? All right, awesome. So public speaking is, based on a study that they did, the number one fear that people have, that most Americans have. That is number one, and I think number three is like fear, 2 is death, 3 is fear of clowns. Although for me, I was traumatized by it a long time ago, the original one, so I absolutely don't understand clowns, don't like them, I'm definitely afraid of them. So I would rather speak than be around clowns. But today, we'll be talking about purpose, passion, and prosperity through conscious public speaking. And I'll really break down what conscious public speaking means, what it means to really speak with your story and from the heart, because I think it's so important. Every one of us here, you all have a specific message, a story, a way of saying your message and your story, your own specific experiences and expertise that the world absolutely needs. So I'm glad that you are here. Thank you for being here, and thank you for investing your time after a work day to be here. Hopefully the food was allure enough as well. So my promise to you that in this session you will learn why it is the best time in history to be a speaker, how to identify your ideal audience and where to find them. I will share a framework that I have created so that you can be a more impactful speaker. You'll also learn how to find new speaking engagements, and also how, for those who are already speakers, who wants to get paid as a speaker? No one? No one? Wow! Okay. Because you can be, you can have an impact, but also get compensated for it. And how you can best position yourself so that you can be a paid speaker. That's where the prosperity comes in. All right, so who's ready to learn? Awesome. There will be opportunities throughout this presentation that I will ask questions. If you have a pen, paper, that's great. If not, there's the notes section on your phone. Definitely take notes, take photos, because there's a lot that we're going to cover. It's still very high level because this is something that, there's so much information about this. This really talks about the business of speaking as well. A lot of things happen before even getting on the mic. And so this really breaks it down in a step-by-step format, makes it very easy for you to understand and then implement. There is at least one thing that you can take from this presentation that you can implement in your life right now to help you in your career, your business, and just as a person, because public speaking really helps you become an effective communicator, right? And the world needs better, effective communicators. Awesome. So you're probably wondering, who the hell are you? Why are you up here? For those of you that don't know me, my name is Marian Bacol-Uba. I'm actually the founder of Thriver Lifestyle. My company is a coaching and consulting company that really focuses on leadership development and conscious public speaking. I have a best-selling book called Unleash Your Voice. I have one copy here, but if anyone is interested in that, I can ship it out to you. But also, I love speaking. I'm a TEDx and keynote speaker. I truly believe that through being up here, and also just being a speaker as who I am, as an Asian American female, it's representation, it's ability for you to see yourself in me no matter what it is, even if you're a man, a woman, because our stories at the end of the day, we're still human beings, and we can see parts of ourselves in other people. And so, all of this is what I'm doing now, but it wasn't what I was doing for most of my life. So prior to this world, I'm from LA. I live in Miami now, from LA, and I was always in marketing and climbed up the corporate ladder, was a marketing director at 28. For, if anyone of you is Filipino up in here, I was a marketing director for Seafood City. Yeah, and the Filipinos, yes. And I also had a food blog. That's actually how I know Joe, who helped put this together. I was a blogger called Marian the Foodie, and we met a lifetime ago, like 8-9 years ago on that. And so I did a lot of TV, had a great job, traveled a lot, was really in the LA scene, kind of was on the places, was on TV, all that stuff. And so on the outside, I looked like I had my shit together. And professionally I did. But on the inside, it was a completely different story. I was a hot mess. But I justified my actions with my achievements. And I thought, okay, I checked off all the boxes, I'm where I need to be. And anytime I got a chance, I was a partier. I would numb myself because I didn't really want to face a lot of childhood trauma, a lot of things that I was dealing with internally, from depression to anxiety. I had mental health issues. I was suicidal, but I put a face on. I was really good at putting it in, and internalizing everything. And I thought, I'm not out on the streets. I'm doing well. Like, everyone does this, right? This is kind of how you cope. This is what we're taught. And then in 2014, this double life of mine came crashing down. I overdosed and had an out-of-body near-death experience that completely changed my life. It was my wake-up call. And my wake-up call, it wasn't this big thing where I'm like, okay, my whole life needs to change. It was the fact that I was like, oh my gosh, something, this isn't going the way I really envisioned this to. And I knew I was given a second chance. And if I stayed in LA, which was super easy to do, to get caught back up in the comfort of things, the ease of things, I knew people, I had things all at my disposal, I knew I would go back to that and I wouldn't be given a third chance. And so I booked a one-way ticket and moved from LA to Miami. I mean, it's not so bad, right? I just knew I needed to move to the East Coast. I can't do the cold, and I love New York, but just can't do the cold. But I knew just instinctively I had to get away from everything. And fast forward, really in Miami is where I got to really find myself, and whatever that means for people. But for me, it was that instead of going through outside sources, whether it was relationships, toxic behaviors, and habits, I decided I had to take full accountability for my life because no one's going to save me. I had to be my own savior. So I dove into everything I could find on mindset mastery, working with energy healers, shamans. I read all the books, went all to the conferences, definitely invested a lot of money in Tony Robbins. All of that. And I found meditation too, and meditation really changed my life. It really gave me an ability to take myself out of it and realize that, especially for all of us here, we get so caught up in what we're doing that we are actually not our thoughts. We are a thinker of our thoughts. All the things that have happened to us, does it define us? I loved it so much that I became certified as a pranayama and meditation teacher, and then I just started organically sharing and speaking. I've always loved speaking. When I was in marketing, I did workshops and things like that, but this, sharing my truth, just felt so good. And I realized through this journey, as I started coaching and consulting, that a lot of people out there have amazing messages and stories, but you are your own worst enemy. You don't speak because you hold yourself back. And you are doing a disservice to yourself and those people that you absolutely want to help, right, by holding yourself back. So I started teaching really on how to be an effective speaker. And so this is where we are now, fast forward, and I feel truly passionate about sharing this because there's only one of me, and there's so much opportunity out there for all of you to be successful, conscious public speakers. So I did a TEDx talk, been a part of different nonprofits and a book, and just really sharing this knowledge because I believe, like I said, you all have the ability to be conscious public speakers. So what is a conscious public speaker? I'll tell you what a conscious public speaker is not. So it is not someone who speaks on something that really harms themselves or others. A conscious public speaker is not someone who's doing it just for the money, or just for the fame, or just for something. A conscious public speaker really is someone who knows that they have a message to share. They have expertise, experience, and it doesn't matter whether it's a story from overcoming trauma, or even I have a client who's a financial advisor, but her story comes from the fact that she used to be a almost homeless single mom, and she learned finances on her own, and now she's like, wow, I learned how to put my life back together, and more people, especially women, need to learn how to get their finances together, right? And take ownership of that. So she truly believes that her message is bigger. But you could also share your expertise and experience. There's people who specialize in tech and marketing and branding. It doesn't matter what subject, but knowing that it comes from a place of service is really what a conscious public speaker is. So why is it the best time in history? So public speaking is one of those skills that from the very beginning of time has been super effective, right? There's bards and people who shared stories, people who shared stories around the fireplace and the bonfire, really being a public speaker. And it doesn't matter what technology comes and goes, public speaking is still one of those things that people still need because it connects on a very human level. So it doesn't matter what social media comes, what new Facebook or new Instagram or whatever it is, people actually, now the more connected we are, the more disconnected we are. But there's a very special energy when we gather in a room like this and you hear someone speak. So the best time in history is because, and I'm just really speaking for those of us here in America and those who are, in a country that is, what's the correct, I'm sorry, I don't know, first world? I know we don't use it, progressive versus non, because there are definitely people who live in countries where that's not possible, where they still suffer consequences from speaking. So because you have this beautiful gift and ability, now you can really share your truth and not be burned at the stake or not imprisoned or anything like that. So it is a beautiful time in history. So there's 3 P's when it comes to conscious public speaking. We talked about purpose, passion, and prosperity. And this really creates a trifecta of a very sustainable practice. So purpose, and we'll really get into what all these 3 are, but purpose, and the reason why you need purpose is because you need to be rooted in your why and why you're doing it. Because especially as a speaker, if you don't care about what you're speaking about, it shows in how you speak, right? Can you feel an energy of someone who's just there and kind of like, so A and B and this is great, versus someone who really speaks from their heart because they know that this knowledge is something that other people need to learn. Passion, and we'll get into what this means when it comes to public speaking, is that it needs to be something sustainable that really lights you up. And then prosperity, and this really isn't just about money. Prosperity is about fulfillment. Does what you talk about fulfill you? And also, especially for a lot of my women out there, because a lot of my female clients feel that they can't charge as much or even charge as a speaker, it is a service that you give into the world, so it is worthy of massive compensation. All right? So purpose. The definition of purpose is the intention to do something, or motivation. Have you ever been to a networking event or spoken to someone and they talk and talk and talk and you're like, wait, what's the point? Where are you going to? Where are you leading to? What's the purpose of all this? When you're giving a talk, it must have a clear and concise purpose, or else you're just really talking up there and you're not really being of service because you're just speaking. You need to be rooted in your why, on why you're doing it. Because especially as a speaker, you start speaking about the same thing. And if it's something that isn't rooted in your why, you'll get tired of it. You'll get bored of it. You might think, oh, why am I speaking about this so much? Especially those who speak and get paid and speak for a living. It's the same topic over and over. So be sure that you're rooted in your why. And also, as you grow in this journey and speak more, especially when you speak about a very personal story, you may have people that won't believe you. You'll have trolls. You'll have quote-unquote haters, right? It's really people who just don't understand. But it doesn't mean that that should stop you. Because at the end of the day, you can't please everyone, right? So if there's something that you really want to speak about, speak on it. Think about your ideal audience. That's really, as a conscious public speaker, it's not just about you. It's really about all of you. Who is your ideal audience? Ask yourself, who do you want to serve? Because as a conscious public speaker, it's really coming from a place of service. And the best way for those of you who are still new to this, or even as a speaker and you're still overwhelmed by, I don't know who to speak to, or which speaking opportunities should I pursue, a very fundamental, this is a marketing exercise that is really important. This is actually the foundation of the business of speaking, is that really getting clear on who you serve. So who's done an avatar exercise? And there's a lot of marketers here. Awesome. And it's so important because once you're clear on who you serve, you're able to really get into their minds and find out how you could, what solutions do you have to the problems that they have? How can you, what stories connect with them on a human level? So on the basic part of an avatar exercise, and this is something we really won't get deep into just because for time purposes, but really figure out who it is that you serve. And it's not just a person. So if you speak to businesses, I speak to corporate environments, you can also do this exercise to another business. So figure out a name, put an identity for this avatar. What are their likes, what are their dislikes? Career, profession. If this is a business, are they a young business or an older business? How much money are they making? Are they making 1 million? Are they making 100 million? Are they an enterprise business? Because these are important. This is the foundation. When you start searching for places to speak, it matters. The more that you niche down actually helps you become more effective. And it helps you be in alignment with who you serve. Because the message that you say sometimes to, let's say, your target audience is executives or CEOs. For maybe a younger, newer company, their problems and what they're trying to accomplish is different from someone who's already established and has, let's say, $1 billion company, right? Different things keep them up at night. So this is where you dive deeper. Really find out, what are their pain points? What are their challenges? What are their dreams? What are their goals? If you're thinking about women, dive it deeper. What type of women? What age group? What do? They're entrepreneurs, are they professionals? Are they trying to leave the corporate setting and go into entrepreneurship? A woman who is 21 and just, graduating college has very different sets of needs and wants than someone who is, let's say, 40 or 50. So where they are hanging out, where they are putting their attention to, the organizations and events that they're going to could be different. So the more that you actually get specific, the more it helps you. And you'll see in this exercise when you go later on into the prosperity section and finding out speaking opportunities for your avatar, when you get this clear, it makes everything easier for you. If you are having a hard time or feeling overwhelmed with the opportunities out there, or you don't know who to speak or what opportunity, it's because you're not clear on this foundational step. So really be clear. All right, podcasts, associations, and organizations, all of this, because these are opportunities to get in front of your ideal audience. So it's better to choose one, really dive deep, and get clear on your messaging, on what you say, on your presentation, before going into the next one. Because if you have I serve, professionals and entrepreneurs, and I serve businesses, and this, you'll just get so overwhelmed and burnt out, and you actually won't be as effective. So choose one, and then dive deep. Yes?
How do you decide of who you choose? If you have people or things that are parallel to each other and they all sound good, what are some things that you do to try to cut that down to make that decision?
So some of the exercise that I do, and this is what I had done before, is that where is there the opportunity to reach more people? So which avatar has the most opportunity to meet more people? Where is it going to really help grow my business? But also where am I going to be the most effective? And what topics do I feel would really help people right now in the state that we're in as a culture, as a community, all that stuff. So the decision is really up to you, but these are some of the things that I think about. And is it sustainable? Is it a topic that's just a fad? Or is it something that, is long-lasting and really makes an effect? Mm-hmm. Yes?
How do you decide what's a fad and what's long-lasting?
I mean, everything is relative, right? So that's up to you to decide. Because depending on what your topic is and your expertise and what your story is, that really varies across different cultures, across different demographics. Do you want to talk about which one, just so I'll have more context? That's so broad.
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
I guess my target audience would be fresh graduates or people that just came out of college.
Yeah, there's a lot of those.
Struggling with financial literacy.
So important.
A lot of student debt.
Yeah.
Some people just
Yeah.
don't really know how to tackle it.
Yeah.
I know some people that haven't even opened up their student debt since they're graduating.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's one, the fear, and two, knowing how to tackle abuse because the industry starts to use.
Yeah, and I think because our culture still looks at money as if it's a bad thing or taboo to talk about, but that's how problems still persist if you're not willing to look at it and identify it. That's not a fad. I don't know if you were asking. That's not a fad. So purpose. You have to have a purpose for your talk, right? And one thing that's very controversial that I've said many, many times that it's not very popular in the industry is that motivational speaking is dead. That's what I believe. And I'll tell you why. Because in this day and age, we get so motivated, right? By memes, by videos. It's so inspiring, we cry. I know I do, you know? I look at videos of cats and dogs and rescues and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so inspired. I'm gonna do this and that. And then life happens and you check an email, you get a text, and inspiration can be fleeting. Truly, motivation can be fleeting. It's important, but it's not the only thing. So I believe in order to really have an impactful talk that makes a difference, you can be inspiring, but also educating and activating. And what I mean by activating is you empower people to take action. Because change doesn't happen when you know everything, right? I don't believe it's not complete. When they say knowledge is power, applied knowledge is power. How many people, I'm sure you know someone, or maybe it's you, who have that phrase, I know, right? I know how to do it, I know. You tell someone something like, I know. Do you know how many people know how it is to, eat healthy and lose 10, 15 pounds, but do they do it? There's people who know what to do to leave their job or leave a toxic relationship or whatever it is, but do they do it? Because it's applied knowledge. So the reason why this last part is important is because you want to activate your audience into taking action. It doesn't matter how big or small, just some action so that they move forward. So this is that conscious speech framework that I spoke about. And this is a framework right here. Inspire, educate, and activate. There was someone earlier, I think, who was saying you wanted to implement something in the corporate environment or with groups. This is a framework that you can take anywhere and apply it into many things, not just to talk. You can do this in social media, in your posts, in newsletters, in just how you communicate. And I'll tell you why this is so impactful. So one, inspire. You want to tell a story or something that connects you on a human level. If you go up on stage, and not to say there's no one that does this, I've seen many speakers that do this, and just start giving stats and numbers, you lose people. You want to connect on a human level. It doesn't matter what you're speaking about, what topic, there's always something that you can say or do, or a joke or a story that connects you so that people will be like, I see you. Yeah, you hear me. We're human. So that's that first part. And this doesn't have to be, a trauma to triumph story. It can be anything. One of my clients is a mom, and she said, well, I actually had a really good life. Nothing bad happened to me. I don't have these want to sob stories. I'm like, well, we had a coaching call last week, and what was the thing that you told me? And she's like, that I went into my cupboard, my pantry, and I cried. And I was like, yeah, that one. She was like, that's what happens. I'm a mom. I'm overwhelmed. I'm like, and your target audience are moms. So how many of them can relate to that? And now it's actually a story that she tells all the time to her target audience because she's like, yes, oh my God, we don't have to be perfect. We need sometimes to go into a pantry, cry, put ourselves together, and then go back out. So that's a story that she shares. And then educate. This is how you position yourself as an expert. Because let's face it, when people go to hear you talk, it's great that they're like, oh wow, she went from point A to point B, or he went from this and that. But how do I do that? What's in it for me? People are always thinking, what can I learn? And so the best way is to give value by sharing your knowledge, sharing your expertise. And this is where you educate them, your core message, your teaching points. Then lastly, your activate, your call to action. What is that you're going to have them do? And it doesn't have to be large, It can be something small, as I mentioned. Maybe go to your website, or if you're in a trade show or a conference and you have a booth, be like, visit me at booth 111. I'll be there to answer questions, or I'll be in the back of the room. When I do keynotes, I'm in the back of the room. Does anyone need to speak to me or have any questions? It's some call to action. All right, you can have them go into a website or a lead magnet, or there's actually a text option. So they can put their number. If you text, you can opt in. There's so many. It just really depends on who you're serving and what you're talking about. So passion. Wait, did I miss? Yeah. So this is the second part of the trifecta. And when people say follow your passion, I think that's great, but that's not enough when it comes to public speaking. And let me tell you. We are multidimensional beings. We have so many interests, right? From you love food to travel. I love cats. There's so many things, but do I speak on all of that? No. It's not sustainable. And especially if you're going to be speaking more and want to position yourself as an expert, being an expert on 10 things is not going to serve you. If you have 10 signature talks and 10 topics that you speak about, people can't even remember what they had for lunch. How are they going to remember all the topics that you're an expert on? So later on, when you start speaking more, when someone wants to refer you or think of you for a specific event or conference or opportunity, they're like, oh, what does she speak about again? I don't know, she listed 10 things. So the more you actually specialize and you niche down, people will start remembering that. So a combination to really think about what your speaker topics are is passion, expertise, and experience. So if you're still unsure of what to speak about, or you have several different ones, I recommend to do this exercise. So on a piece of paper, you put 3 columns: passion, expertise, and experience. And then you just write down all the things that you're passionate about, all the things that you have experience on, and expertise. And when expertise, I mean, maybe you went to college or something, had a certification, studied, did something, right? And experience doesn't necessarily mean that you went to school. For example, you didn't get an MBA, but you've had a business for 10 years. That's experience. So what do you have experience in? There's also life experience that people share. I know Tina earlier said about burnout. That's an experience that people need to listen to and really learn about, because that burnout is real. That's an experience, and that's something that you can really get a certification on. So all the things that flow through, there's a lot of things that will overlap, and what overlaps in all 3 really becomes your expert speaker topics. Because then you're fueled by the passion, because you're deeply rooted in your why and you're passionate about it, but you can back it up with your experience and expertise. So there's something called the rule of 3. Who's ever heard of the rule of 3? Awesome. And it really means where when something that comes in 3s just inherently sound better, it feels more complete. So when it comes to your expert speaker topics and even what your core message of what you're going to educate people, 3 is really a good number because it's easy to remember. And we find this everywhere, from the 3 little bears and Goldilocks and the 3 little pigs, 3 musketeers. It's even in branding and in slogans. Nike, just do it. McDonald's, I'm loving it. Just sounds like bum, 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 beginning, middle, end. So it's really easy for people to remember. And 3s are just easier. And especially when you have a talk and you're in the educate part in your core message, if you have a list of 10 things that you're trying to teach people, it's just going to go over people's heads. And you really won't make an impact because they're going to be like, okay, too much information, I'm just going to go text or do something else. You really won't make as much impact because they're already like, okay, this is just too much information, I can't remember everything. So it's really good, especially in a talk, especially for anything less than an hour and you're not having a full day workshop. You really want things to stick to people, right? It's that retention that's really going to help, that repetition. 3 is really good. So when you have your core message, what are you teaching? What is your special framework? The pillars, your principles, your framework, all of these key words can help. And I've had some people who had 4 or 5, but I really don't recommend more than that because you just lose people. That's something that you can put in a book or, you have a workshop or a course. But in a talk, you really want to keep it succinct and concise so that people remember. And that's actually something, so when you when you're out pitching yourself, and I'll get to this, but because this is actually, it makes a lot of sense and timing right now, do you speak to HR?
Yes.
That's a really great place because a lot of HR companies have a wellness budget from their insurance companies. They have to use. So for anyone who wants to speak to more corporate environments and have something around wellness or leadership development or things like that, HR is usually your point of contact and the ones who make those decisions, because laughter can help you feel better. Mind, body, soul, absolutely. Yeah. So now we're going on prosperity, because this is about fulfillment and money. And money is an energy. So a few things. There is an abundance of speaking opportunities out there. I hear a lot of people say, I don't know where to speak. I don't know where these opportunities are. There's actually a lot, but you need to be clear, again, on your avatar. Who do you serve? Where are they hanging out? And what message can you give that gives them most value? Once you really know that, if you're unclear of where to find opportunities, go back to step one, to the foundation, and get clear on that. And then a lot of things will come up. There's an energy exchange when it comes to giving the value that you give. And this is an imposter syndrome that many of my female clients have, is that they don't want to charge, or they feel like, oh, I just want to give. I'm like, but the universe is about giving and receiving. And you're giving value and time. And one of the things that I absolutely teach is that it's not an hourly rate. As a speaker, you have a speaker fee. People are like, oh, I don't know if I could charge $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 an hour. It's not an hourly rate. That rate, whether it's 10,000, 15, 20, is accumulation of all the years, all the investment of knowledge, all the experience and expertise that you have to brought you to that point where you can speak about that. All right, so remember that when it comes to really thinking about how are you going to charge and what is your rate. It's not an hourly rate, it's a speaker fee, right? Because there's a lot that you've done. There's a lot of life experience that you had to experience. There's a lot of growth in order to be an expert on that topic. Selling is a service. It's an absolute service. Everyone here has phones, right? You paid for this phone, you use it. It's a service. There's everything. There's an exchange for that. And really, the more people, especially as a conscious public speaker, because you know that your message matters and it could help someone, the more people that you help, money will naturally flow your way. So I'm going to go over some of the various ways that you can actually make money public speaking. And it's not just that one way. People tend to think that it's just a speaker fee. There's actually so many different ways. So the next few slides, you'll see this. I'll actually be emailing it because I'm just going to go through very quickly. This is really it's not in depth. This is just a really big overview. But there's just a lot of different ways when you really think about the different ways that you can make money speaking. So the first traditional way is a speaker fee. You have someone that hires you, you speak, they give you the speaker fee, and that's sort of it. But there's so many other ways. So there's affiliates for events, for summits. That's when, especially if you have an audience already and you share the event or conference and people buy using your code or whatever it is, you get a certain percentage. Same thing if you help with courses and things like that. There's advertising, sponsorships. There are brand deals because, and we'll get to the next slide, public speaking isn't just speaking in person anymore. There's online platforms where you can speak and make a difference. For those who are speaking in corporate environments, the more you speak, this is actually an opportunity to get a raise, right? Because you're doing something more. I've done trainings for sales teams, and when they're more effective speakers, guess what? They bring more money into the company, right? So you can actually earn more. That positions you as an expert and a top seller. Nonprofits, you can get funding, right? As a great speaker, you can go and do a fundraiser and be able to really get in touch with people so that they donate more to your cause. If you have a startup, the more effective that you are in pitching, and that framework that I taught in the very beginning, inspire, educate, activate, that's a really powerful one. That will help you become a better founder to pitch, because it humanizes you. And oftentimes some of the best products, and I have a lot of VC friends and angel investors, it's because they've come up with something in their life and it's a problem that they have and they've found a solution for it, right? You're tied into it, so that story actually makes a difference. There's a lot of companies now where the founders, especially women founders, are coming out from their brand and really sharing the story of why they started. And that humanizes, right? So then there's coaching, consulting, selling your books. If you're at a trade show or event, or even at events where you're not paid to speak, you can actually also sell books or sell your courses or things like that. So there's so many other opportunities. And lastly, it's really bringing those people who are your ideal audience into your community, into your funnel, and you continue to serve them in many different ways. And they grow with you as you grow and have your different offerings. So there's so many different ways, right? And you can, if you're in front of your ideal audience and you serve them well, they can turn into your soulmate clients. People that you really, really feel happy about working with, right? Because they're in alignment with you. So this is a stage. Not so clear picture, but a stage. And a stage is a platform. And a platform is really a lot of the platforms that we're on now. It's not just a physical platform, but online platforms. And so whereas sometimes it's difficult to bring, let's say, 100, 1,000 people in one place, 10,000, 50,000, on podcasts you can get people in the millions. Right? And people from all over the world. There's pros and cons. When you have in-person events, it's people right there, but with things like podcasts and YouTube and live streams, which is so, so important. If you're not incorporating live streams, especially if you have a brand, a personal brand, or if you have a business that's very B2C, live streams are great because people, that's that human interaction again. You know, people want to see what's going on real time. And so you're able to touch people's lives who are millions of miles away, you know, or thousands. I have a podcast, and it so surprises me that I have people listening from countries I've never been in. New Zealand and countries, you know, Germany and India, right? Like, that's amazing. Your message can reach people that you've never even stepped foot in that continent. Like, how amazing is that, right? So there's definitely online platforms. So just running down this list really quickly. Offline platforms, you have conferences and summits, events, associations. So if you're looking to find speaking opportunities, look at your avatar and all the things that you describe your avatar, right? Woman, professional, at this age range, you know, this is where she works, this is what she likes, what she dislikes, this is what her problems and solutions are. And then you can tie it into this, okay? If she's in, let's say she's in HR, so what HR conferences is she going to? Maybe what HR groups is she a part of? What associations? You know, all this, and then you can pitch yourself to speak in those conferences and those organizations and get in front of your ideal audience. A really good thing about associations is that there are so many associations out there. They're actually looking for speakers and have a budget. And let me tell you, the cooler the company is, they're probably not going to pay you to speak. You can actually get paid more at the not so cool associations, like a plumbers association and just random associations that actually need more of your services. I have clients who have a local marketing agency, and they were trying to go online, and I'm like, just go to your local chamber of commerce and go to these local people who actually don't even know how to put a website together. That's where you're going to make the most impact. You know, not speaking. I mean, it's great more for visibility to speak at a marketers conference, a marketing conference, but all these other marketers aren't going to buy from you. You know, you're not really serving them. So that's great that you do, but you know, if you want to grow your business, go in front of the people who need you the most, right? So associations, keep that. The uncooler they are, they actually have time and budget to hire you. Sales meetings, corporate trainings, organizations, schools, colleges. And the thing about schools and colleges, because there's a few here who talk to college students or those graduating, really identify when you say kids or youth, there's very different ones. There's like youth groups, and then there's kids, and then youth, high school, and then college. And then within that, there's fraternities and sororities. There's different, NACA is one, and CATA. Those are two, when it comes to universities, they're an organization where all the campus activities, personnel who do a lot of things all over, they come and gather and you can actually get in front of them. So, and then within schools also, you can go to different departments, and departments have their own budgets. So depending on which department that you speak in, they have their own budgets as well. Sororities, fraternities, cultural groups. So when you get more specific in who you're trying to target, you can actually find better opportunities that are more in alignment. Because it's so important, right, to have that alignment. Because if you are speaking to 1,000 people, but they're not your ideal audience, it's not really serving anyone, right? It doesn't serve them, it doesn't serve you. But you can speak to a group of 50, but they're all people that you can benefit from your message and what you're saying and give value, then it's better, right? It's like me who, let's say, I'm gonna go back to cats just because I love cats and the first thing I always think of, having this amazing talk about cats, but I'm at a dog conference. There's no synergy there, right? There's no alignment. And then seminars and your own events, retreats, all that. Virtual platforms, everything that you do in person, for the most part, you can do online. From webinar trainings, online summits, live streams, blogs, online memberships, your own platforms. This is a really great way to get in front of more and more people that you wouldn't be able to get in front of. What's great about online memberships and sites and courses, if you're really targeting, let's say, entrepreneurs, there's other people who already have, let's say, a mastermind, because this is something I have people that go into my mastermind as experts every month, and these are dedicated people who are hungry for this type of knowledge. So even though there's less people than, let's say, a room of 100, it's still high quality in terms of your ideal audience. So get creative. And there's a lot on both of these lists, but you don't have to focus on all of them. I definitely recommend just to choose a few from in-person as well as offline, and then target those, because to be able to go through all of these, it's just going to be too much. All right?
Can I ask what mastermind is?
Oh, a mastermind? So a mastermind is really, the basic definition is a collective when people come together to share ideas, to share different ways of tackling problems and things like that. Mm-hmm. But
is it a website?
No, so there's masterminds that you
Okay.
can put together. Some are free, some are charged, where you bring people together so that if you have problems, you can work through it at different levels. So if you have a mastermind with people who are making, let's say, 6 or 7 or 8 figure other entrepreneurs, you all kind of like work together, and you can mastermind through things like solve issues, problems, because someone probably has already done it, and you'll learn from each other. Yeah. So this, if you want to learn how to get paid, you need to have the assets. So, who here shops on Amazon? All of you, right? For the most part. Or you shop online. Who shops online, and who's shopped online at least once? Thank you, I should see all your hands. Before you buy a product, don't you read the reviews? Right? For the most part. No, you don't at all? Oh, see, right? So if you are a speaker and you say, I want to speak and I want to get paid $3,000, $5,000, $10,000, and you go to an event planner who's never met you, and you're like, I want to speak, pay me $10,000, and they're like, okay, where can I read reviews about you, testimonials? And you're like, I don't have it, just trust me. Like, do you think they want to pay you $10,000? No, right? So you need to have your assets in line. You need to have your speaker kit, your speaker website, your videos, photos, testimonials, social proof, expert speaker topics. And you don't have to have this all at once, so especially if you're starting, you just start collecting them. Just start building up. Start getting photos and videos, all of that stuff. And then just start building it, because especially if they haven't seen you speak, they're going to want to see a demo, a speaker reel, videos of you speaking, so that they know you actually know how to speak before they invest in you. All right? So when it comes to the speaker kit, a lot of people talk about a one-pager, so that's a great place to start. But a lot of event planners, it's actually more effective to have a speaker kit because it has more information. So especially if you're starting and you don't have a lot of information, and one pager is great, but the more that you're speaking, the more you have information, you can actually have a speaker kit, because that's more effective. And then what's on your speaker website is the same thing that's on your speaker kit. You just put it on your website. Yes?
Can I ask you, what's in a speaker kit?
Yeah, so there's, I don't have it in the slide. So in a speaker kit, some of the essentials is you'll have your name, your basic information, a small bio about you, what your expert topics are. You'll have some photos, maybe some of your signature talks or one signature talk, past speeches or clients that you've worked with. It's really your resume.
So is this on like a landing page, or is this, how is that?
On the website or on the kit?
I guess, well, I don't know.
So for a speaker kit, it can have, there's several pages, on a speaker kit. Yeah, where it lays out.
On each one of
Mm-hmm.
them. I gotcha.
Yeah. And then as you do more speaking engagements and as you have more social proof and testimonials, you just add to that.
Got it.
Mm-hmm. And then same thing on the website, you just add to it. Yes?
Can you email us your speaker kit?
I can.
Oh.
Yeah, actually, and I love how you talked about that. So there is a free gift at the end that I have an offer for all of you. It's a template for a speaker kit that I'll be sending all of you. I have feedback forms. You beat me to the chase, but thank you. I have a feedback form, so you can check it off there if you want a copy of the speaker kit. But it's a template out there that my graphic designer had already put together, so you can just fill it in. Yeah. And then lastly, there's something called inner circle versus outer circle. Especially in a big city like this, there's always someone you know who is, you're here in General Assembly, so if you actually are confident about a talk, maybe speak to Joe, who's an organizer. You could speak here. Inner circle, who do you already know that maybe is part of an association that you want to speak in? Or a club, or there's a conference, there's someone that you know. Or maybe there's a company, a corporate company that you want to speak at, and you have a friend or a cousin or someone that's in it that can help you get through. And also at a local level, people tend to think, I want to speak at the big national conference. Oftentimes the best way is to go through the local and regional chapters. So I've done this before where I've spoken at a local level, and they love the talk that they referred me to the national conference. And that's a warmer lead than, let's say, if I just cold pitched an email, right? So especially in San Francisco, there are so many organizations and associations here. There's countless opportunities for you to look within your inner circle, meaning your local community. There's local colleges, there's local universities, there's local nonprofits. There's so much in big cities that there's opportunities here already to start thinking about it. And then if you say you've exhausted it all, then outer circle, who can you pitch and reach out to? And as a speaker, especially those who are in the speaker circuit and you want to speak more, there's definitely a good level of pitching because not everyone knows you yet. So you have to continuously pitch out there. All right?
And who are you speaking to? So HR is one of them. What are your other target contact points in an organization?
HR is a big one because they're usually the ones who bring people in. Sometimes, event planners for conferences. If I'm speaking to a corporate in the conferences, there's event planners, meeting planners specific to that. And there's also organizations and associations just for meeting planners as well. So I'm telling you, there is an organization and association for everything. So the clearer you are on that foundation, that avatar, and where they're hanging out, you can find out where you can get in front of the decision makers. And then outer circle, who else you can reach to. And one of the best ways to get more speaking gigs is to actually speak more. Because people hear you speak. There is no better recommendation or referral than someone who's actually heard you speak. Right? So speak more. And if you're just starting, just practice. There's so many opportunities. If you are in a corporate company, you want to learn, tell your boss, hey, for the next meeting, I'd love to lead it. Is that fine? And you can practice. There's always opportunities everywhere. You can speak at your local church, your country club, Toastmasters. There's lots of Toastmasters, So back to this trifecta, right? Purpose, passion, and prosperity. Wherever you are in this journey, if you're still not clear on your why and really have a format for your talk, just stay with that. Don't get overwhelmed by all the other things. Get clear on that first. Who do you serve? Who's your audience? And then when you have that clear, Maybe go to your experts, go to the next one, passion, your expert speaker topics, and get clear on that. You know, jack of all trades, master of none, that really applies here because once you start speaking more and you get referrals, the more niche you are and you become an expert on that, people will start referring you. So get clear on that. And once you have both of those, and now you're like, okay, I'm ready to really get paid, or I'm ready to level up and get paid more, then focus on pitching and putting your assets together. It's like a pyramid. You know, oftentimes we look at the very top and we're like, okay, it's so daunting at the top of the mountain, but just take one step. And remember, your foundation is so important because the foundation of anything, from a house to a building, is what's going to keep it going. So build that foundation first. And just take one step, one action step. So like I said, your free gift is a speaker kit. That is my call to action for all of you if that was not clear. And if you want it, I'm actually, there's some feedback forms, but yeah, if anyone has any questions, I'm here to say yes.
I actually do have a question. So,
Yeah.
there's so